respected chairperson, resource persons of this very important occasion, members of the NCCAF, and all the participants. I want to thank Sir Herang and other members for giving me this platform to send this message to virtually. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the Whitley Fund for Nature for recognizing our humble works, because of which our stories are being told all over the world today. I want to thank our Lord Jesus Christ for giving us the conviction and laying a burden in our hearts to be of service to the Mother Earth. As most of you, I was also born in a small village in eastern Nagaland surrounded by forests and wildlife. Our people have always coexisted with nature and depended upon the forest for survival. I was very closely attached with my grandfather, and as a child, my grandfather told me that the environment was mourning because humans were putting so much pressure on it. And if this continued, my generation would find it very hard to survive. During my master's, I took a course in ecology, and this course opened my mind to understand how seriously the global warming and climate change was taking place. After my studies, I volunteered to teach a course in ecology and crafted a curriculum. Moreover, when I returned home, I could fully understand what my grandfather told me when I was very young, and it was really true. While serving in a church, I had the opportunity to travel to several places, and I could witness the dramatic loss of biodiversity in our forests. Therefore, to have a base and serve as a model, I decided to work from my own village of Yaoyimchen and establish a small community biodiversity conservation in my village, which has been a great success. Within a span of 3 to 5 years, we could witness a noticeable increase in wild species, especially the migrating Amur falcons, whose numbers increased tenfold. And most importantly, I decided not to eat any jungle meat, and maybe one of the reasons why you have invited me here is because of this. I will return to our success story towards the end. Let me tape upon the crisis we all are concerned of. Don't get me wrong, but even as we sit around this comfortable office and our rooms with computers, laptops, and wonderful facilities, even at this very time, I'm pretty sure many wild species might have been hunted, and the environment is getting damaged, and many species are getting extinct. Why are we here? Despite many new theories and ideas shared, our one concern is the decaying environment. Ideas, suggestions, and theories are very important, but they must be relevant, carrying solutions and transforming the crisis. We talk so much about climate change and global warming, the melting glaciers. To many people in the villages of Nagaland or Northeast India, these threats may not be very alarming because they do not see it. But in our own context, we have witnessed them with diverse yet alarming effects. During the last 5 to 7 years, we have been feeling the rise in temperature. It's becoming very hot. In 2006-07, I used to tell people wherever I travel that if we are not careful, we will be buying air, we will be buying water. And today, after 10 years, even in the villages, we have started purchasing waters. We have started using fans. Villages have started using refrigerator, which is a compulsory thing. Even in villages, when we drive with our AC on. But one thing we should understand, majority of the population is in the local context depends on agriculture. However, there are reports of decrease in quantum production. Harvest is gradually declining. Water level in the streams and rivers are going down, and wells are reported to have been drying up, and water ponds in the villages are being abandoned. Meanwhile, the invasion by new alien pests and insects destroying vegetations, ancestral and indigenous crops getting extinct, farmers are now looking for foreign crops. During this one decade, we have seen cyclonic storms, severe earthquakes, mudslides in our own region, etc., etc. What contributed to this decaying environment that we are talking today? Despite our versions and some positive results for June cultivation, the action through annual cutting down of forests, massive deforestation, uncontrolled hunting of wildlife for consumption and sale felling trees for timber and other use, reckless and uncontrolled extraction of natural resources and wastage of forest products created all this negative impact on our ecosystem. And my Bible, which I believe, this tells me that God is not happy with all this thing that humanity is doing, and we receive what we give. Another very serious threat to the nature, let me say, the wonderful ancestral God-given unpolluted environment, the ecosystem, is the introduction of different chemicals for pest management and weeding purposes. These have become a threat, destroying topsoils as reported by the farmers and also the ancestral crops. Having said all this, you will agree with me, humans' only source for livelihood sustenance is dependency on the biodiversity. Our ancestors knew what to take, how much to take, and also what not to take. But today, we have put so much pressure upon the biodiversity, and the entire ecosystem is decaying, and the threat is becoming very, very severe. The threat against us is not beyond the borders. They are right here. When there are conflicts between two parties, it can be reduced or solved through a third and fourth party intervention. But the threat we ourselves have created because of our greed and excessive use of the biodiversity. Many harmful designs we have created, which I have mentioned just a few little while ago, environment has come so heavily upon us. And this conflict and threat cannot be involved for reconciliation by any other third party. Therefore, what must we do? Peace is not just limited between human to human, but it encompasses the entire ecosystem. Therefore, policymakers, experts, institutions, scientists, rich, and all of us engaged in this concern must be convicted of this serious and impending danger the degrading environment has brought against us, and give attention towards protection of the ecosystem. What must we do since the threat is growing bigger? Our Lamsa Chenlok society's motto is give to receive, and cradled around this theme, we design our strategies and actions. At the same time, based on the UN Sustainable Development Goal and IG goals, we should try our best to reduce pressure upon the biodiversity. And, but how do we do? Let us engage more, if not superiorly, for giving our time for conservation mission. I would suggest let us all start from our own respective village. Let us continue to speak to the community to give our forests for conservation, not to the government or any other organization, but to ourselves and to our future generation. What can we, the lay people, but with, conviction too? Let us continue to give our time in speaking to the community and make them understand about the decaying environment based on the facts and what we all are experiencing. Let us also continue to encourage communities, individuals and clan members to give their forests for conservation. What can the experts, especially scientists and institutions, do? I think we need to bring our practical measures, not based on presumed data, but do more case studies and interact with communities and educate us. What can the government do? I think this is very important. Our society has been stressing our strategies on 3 C's, CCC. Let me just explain this very briefly. The first C, one, is conduciveness of soil. I would suggest to experts and even government departments, please study the soil conduciveness of our region. The second C is crop compatibility. My suggestion is please stop bringing foreign crops unless they are scientifically proven that it is conducive to the soil of the region. And the third C is climate adaptability. Anything we do must be done based on climatic condition of the region. Let me just mention a few things based on what I just said, using the model of 3 C's. Don't get me wrong, but I think this is something we all need to very, need to be very careful in deliberating. What has rubber done for rural people? I don't have time to elucidate the impact on the soil, the people and its economy. And what has kamari done? What has large cardamom or like the LIG done? And honestly, what is coffee going to do to the people and to our soil? So based on these three C's, our society and our people have been implementing small programs, and these three C's will be very important as we see the threat for environment becoming bigger and bigger in our generation. It is also imperative that communities who are devotedly engaged in community conservation must be the first to be facilitated or supported with schemes and other benefits, because though not available or convicted in different policy making, these communities are engaged in what you call the carbon sequestration measures, but these are not happening in our context or in our generation. Therefore, the government and all the experts must work towards sustainable land use policies, identify resources to create sustainable income generating activities rather than putting so much pressure on the forests. Seminars and workshops, I think, must be conducted in the forests as we have always done, and this was one of the mechanisms for our success, and have a natural connection to their purpose. A common platform for communities, researchers, policymakers, various institutions to listen from one another and find ways to address the issues of environment degradation, and facilitating a sustainable livelihood must be initiated. With this in progress, there can be the biodiversity peace corridor involving hundreds of indigenous communities. And as I close, I would like to encourage the NCCAF. I want to thank you for taking lots of responsibilities in sensitizing and bringing different people to this forum to work towards the augmented and improved biodiversity conservation. But I think we need to be more active and radical in our approach as we work with experts and scientists, but we also need to work with the common people who really understand the scenario of the field. And with this approach, I think there can be an improved environment in the next few years from now. Now, as I close, I would like to make one clarification. Most of you still may not know or have a preconceived idea about my profession. I have been given the title as conservationist, environmentalist, or some have even called me activist, or others have taken me as having a background in science. I think these are all wrong information gathered. Very honestly, my background is theology, and I was working in the church, though I'm not a full-time worker now. So most people were always surprised when I said this, and they asked, why not, and how come, with all these things? My simple answer has been this Bible. The Bible has all the answers. While this is a book for spiritual transformation, to make each of us into a better person, for spiritual transformation and for heaven going, what I discovered embedded in this book is a source for all subjects. There is philosophy, history, archaeology, mathematics, technology, science. In fact, I always say it is the queen of all sciences. And besides my other readings, I draw implications, models, and actions from the Bible. It has not transformed me to be spiritual or to be a better person, but this has taught me how to be a good conservationist or to be engaged in conservation activities. Having said all this, what we give today to the forest, she will give us back, and we sustain each other. We need to be more humble, but let us give so that we will receive back an improved environment for ourselves and also for our future generation. God bless NCCAF and all the listeners. Thank you.